Truth over fear, and the truth will set you free. So, I'm going to talk about mask wearing, social distancing, and the Great Reset, and how a transformative marked change is being perpetrated on the masses through fear based satanic ritualistic magic from the dark occult priest class of the Vatican. These sorcerers have been performing these rituals since its inception, and on a daily basis today, to bring humanity into its rebirth state of ushering in our new reality of their new world order. So let's get into it. In the branch of Satanism, rituals are essentially viewed as psychodramatic gatherings of sympathetic energy. And keep in mind, guys, psychodramatic gatherings of sympathetic energy, like the crisis actors and these rituals that are performed. The ritual that is being performed right now with everybody participating and wearing a mask, kind of like a play, if you will, which could then be harnessed and directed toward a given cause or goal. Rituals are referred to as magical ceremonies or sorcery ceremonies, as most Satans accept the concept of magic as a means of influencing change to occur in accordance with their. These rituals are held to influence agendas in favor of the grotto's desires or the desires of the wider satanic network. These sorcery rituals are also held to direct etheric energy toward individuals or group enemies, or anyone who stands in the way of their plans. And this is a means of influencing change to occur in accordance with their will, aligning their will with the will of creation, which is the evolution of consciousness. And they do this by chanting, burning candles, incense, etc., summoning different names to project vocalization, energy. They're play-acting psychodramatic rituals to gather and focus the energy of the people involved so that they ultimately work harder to bringing that desired result into physical manifestation. It's about putting everybody on the same page, working towards the same outcome or group goal. And they are very organized, which humanity is not. And we don't come together for all the right reasons. They make sure they come together for all the wrong reasons. That's why the universe is technically granting them exactly what they want. They're perfectly aligned with the flow of creation. It's just that they're doing it in a perverted way, but they're still coming together to get it done. We're not coming together to get it done for the right reasons. Evil is winning over good. They're united in accordance, and we are not. Here's some of the rituals that go on today as well in the political realm. They're going to sign their laws to use against the masses. These are their occult rituals in politics. And they do it in their temple. And man has to live by these laws. So they have to perform their rituals every time they pass anything off to the public. The transformation of America, with their wars and sacrifice for king and country. The basic elements in cultural transmission and transformation are psychological. This is how they accomplish the Great Reset. Since its inception, high rituals have been performed to transform reality, starting with the mental landscape of people themselves. And the true method of ritual is to alter one's mind. The masses are the audience, as well as the participants. And the purpose of it is to activate parts of the mind that are not activated by everyday activity. The mechanics of change through mechanism, a rhythm to connect to, a magnetic drawing one towards the path of transformation. Rituals are vehicles driving home those ideas. The symbols, which upon transmission, create the language which by new society members communicate after they are initiated. This new language imparts a new understanding. Through definition, the ritual demonstrates, even if the original purpose gets lost in the repetition of action. A ritual initiation introduces and inducts one into the new way of life, a program to guide beliefs and actions, enabling the initiate to become a true and full member of the society. Ritual is not always a conscious action. Not everyone participating in the ritual is not always made aware that they are participants. And yet still, new patterns of thought, of significance, are drummed in, conscious or not. There are 3 stages to this mask ritual. First, isolation, or social distance, or stay home. The initiate is separated from the mundane, or of the world. The initiate is largely removed from the otherwise familiar persons, places, or things one is used to, in order to be clear to them. Protect yourself, protect our system, stay home, and the like. Detached and purged, then purified. Stay away from people as much as possible. An essential element of this separation from one's typical environment is the suspension of the normal rules of living that one's used to. The norm. The normality of which it once was will not come back. Much of the initiate's senses will be commanded and regulated at this time. In other words, the majority of what the initiate sees or hears, smells, touches, and tastes, if directly related, is deliberately controlled. These senses are bombarded, modified, limited, or deprived. But regardless, perceptions and experiences are ultimately overseen by a high priest, dark occultists, directing the ritual's performance, allowing new light to shine through a newly opened window of thought. With nowhere else to go except where allowed, the isolated initiate may be forced to confront his or her own reflection, suddenly become unavoidable. Triggers activated. Just as they involve surrender, initiation rituals involve sacrifice. Both the tangible that can be held in the hand and the intangible, such as behaviors, may be given up by requirement. After all, for something to be given, something must also be taken. A token of submission, an ounce of blood, a clay model to be remolded. Whether dramatically overt or subtle, the ritual reinterprets, a new definition given, training in the form of new behaviors and knowledge, including myth and codes. Our world is filled with pacts, codes, user agreements, and subliminal messages and backmasking, necessary for new members to function properly in their society they are being inducted into. Repetition is typical, as its use helps hammer the spell home. A new normal. We have to accept a new normal. The wearing of masks is required. Masking has played a traditionally important role in rituals of this kind, enabling the suppression of ego to help facilitate death of the old identity before the identification with and manifestation of a new one. Disguised under a mask and hidden away, the initiate is more easily able to transcend the self, pushed further towards that invisible line in between physical and spiritual realms. Trauma is another aspect of initiation, and most especially to personalize the fear of death. Only after death is confronted can the initiate be symbolically resurrected, reborn anew. You are asleep in one world and wake up to another just to be asleep again. This process that is playing out is quite coordinated and sophisticated in reality. It may be executed in a purposefully confusing manner so that the goalposts seem to keep moving back and forth, up and down, here, now, there, rendering the initiate unable to find mental ground from which to make logical sense of anything. This disorientation is key. The uncertain timing generates general anxiety, further removing the initiate from reality and leaving him or her more susceptible to a type of Pavlovian conditioning. This weakens the defenses just as a virus would. Only this has the potential to break down the individual much more completely than a virus would. Whatever the finer details, the previous way of life is shed like old snakeskin. At the end that comes before the beginning, the change begins. This is the second phase, the transition, the threshold of a new time and of doing new things. As the old self symbolically dies or passes away, the initiate descends into a state of liminality, a sort of fever-themed purgatory nowhere land, the void in the middle. Thus the old self dies as the initiate is purified, a blank canvas washed and primed, desperate for paint. At the same time, his old existence and way of life dies. The initiate transcending it is gradually being processed or programmed and incorporated into his or her new environment, reformed, reconstituted, and rebirthed into the new world order that awaits the end of the tunnel. This is the final phase of the ritual integration into the new reality, waking up to the new normal, all alone together. The Great Reset. So, this is the great transformation, guys. This is the great reset. The Vatican actually writes on papyrus paper, and they write their will. They come together, they do their rituals, they do their chanting and their spells, and they set forth in perpetual motion, so to speak, what it is that they want, or where the direction of the masses they want to go. And they lock it in a vault in the Vatican and pray over it to bring it into existence. Mask wearing is a satanic ritual, and everybody is performing that. And you can't deny that you are satanic if you wear a mask. And you're social distancing yourself from the energetic force that can alleviate us from this perversion and get us back to the flow of creation in a positive way. Now, in order to embrace the Christ consciousness, we have to surpass the boundaries of the 666 mentality and usher in the 777 purity consciousness, so we can defeat the Vatican and its predecessors. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. The truth is, and always has been, and always will be, simple. It's the lies that get complicated.